Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. How are you all doing? My name's Amanda Ellis and a very warm welcome to my channel. This is a follow-up video to the one that I made yesterday on the 5th of November, before the results of the US election were known. I wanted to come back to have a re-look at a couple of the cards in particular that came out yesterday, because I gave an interpretation of them yesterday, but I feel as though in hindsight there is even more to say, so I would like to do that. I would also like this video to be what I call a violet pill one. What I mean by violet pill is one that is trying to unify rather than divide and separate. Obviously, emotions are running extremely high. You are either thrilled that Donald has got back in or will be getting back in January, or you are feeling sad, devastated, disappointed. Whatever your emotion is what your emotion is. So it's a real basket of all sorts of emotions today. And my job is not to put my own personal opinion into the mix, because I don't think it helps anything. I'm going to just try to stay as neutral and as violet as I possibly can. Go back over the cards of yesterday. I would also like to reiterate some of the predictions that I have made in the past, linking into both Kamala and also JD Vance. I want to look at the energy again between now and January. I would like to pull some cards also for people that are feeling disappointed and didn't get their wish yesterday. And also I'm going to do something a bit different, which is that you may not know this. You might know me as whatever you want to call me, a medium, a psychic, a spiritual teacher. I don't know. They're all just labels at the end of the day. I am just me. I've been here since 2012 on YouTube, and I've got a pretty good track record in terms of what I talk about, what I predict, and what I do. But in addition to this, I used to be a market researcher, and I'm going to start off with this actually because I feel as though those, 15 years or so that I did in market research qualifies me to be able to say something about the polls. Because waking up today to what is pretty much a very convincing win by Donald Trump. I'm recording this at about 10:30 in the morning on the 6th, so all the results are not quite in yet, but he has won. It looks like it's going to be pretty much a landslide victory. And the polls weren't predicting that. The polls were saying that it was going to be very, very close. And why did they get them wrong? So this is my 2 pennies worth as an ex-market researcher. What you often find, however good polling is, however good the statisticians are behind it that pull out the numbers, analyze the numbers, pick over the bones, however good the questioning is, whether they are closed questions, whether they are open questions, however it is broached, there are some subjects that people find hard to confess to. And I feel as though there was a very underrepresented proportion of people that didn't want to say that they were voting for Trump when they probably knew they were going to, including a lot of the people who kept saying they were undecided up to the last minute. I think they had a pretty good idea that when it came to the day, they would vote for Trump, but they didn't want to either publicly say it, state it on a market research poll, or put a board outside their house or a poster in their window declaring their intentions. The reasons for that are manifold. It might have been for many different reasons. It could just be that they didn't want the hassle of people maybe abusing them or having a go at them for their opinion, or they might have felt that they were going to be judged for having that opinion. You know, it's all pretty immaterial now, really. But I would just like to say that at the outset, that definitely within market research, there is that wild card factor that no questionnaire or survey or way that something is asked can account for, which is that there is an aspect of human nature sometimes which likes to keep things secret, deliberately so. So I feel I just wanted to say that at the outset. Also, maybe it's a lesson that we're moving into times, are we not, where more and more people are starting to understand that timelines are so fluid. And I tell you what, this prediction was hard to call up until literally the last moment. I went to bed last night thinking, I don't know the way this is going to go. I know what I've said in the past about Trump and particularly JD Vance, I feel, becoming a very powerful figure over the next 4 years, which obviously alludes to the fact that they are going to be in power. But I just thought, is she going to be able to do it? And then I looked out of the window and it was bonfire night here. So lots of people had been letting off fireworks and having bonfires. So the air was filled with smoke, I suppose, and debris from the fireworks. The sky was orange. I kid you not, the sky was orange. To such a degree, I thought, it's not the Northern Lights, is it? But then I realised, no, it's not the Northern Lights, Amanda. It's just bonfire night debris in the air. But the sky was orange. And I thought, I wonder whether he is going to do it. Woke up this morning, and of course he has. So what I'm really trying to say with regards to polls is that they don't take into account, and they can't take into account, number one, human behaviour, where humans don't want to tell you basically what they're feeling inside, and will even say something that isn't the truth to hide what they actually are going to do. But also, polls cannot take into account these shifting timelines, which are so sensitive and can change with regards to the big things, as we saw yesterday, literally up to the 11th hour. So it's really quite interesting. If I was in market research now, I'd probably be like banging my head against a wall thinking, oh my God, you know, what do we do with this going forward? Because there's a lot of money in these people that do polls. But anyway, that's not my job anymore. My job is to be here, hopefully supporting you and giving some words of guidance today, looking at yesterday's cards and making some more predictions for the future. So I've talked about the orange sky. I should have also listened to John, actually, my husband. He said to me a couple of weeks ago, he said, it's going to be a Trump landslide. And I, at that point, was thinking, yeah, I think Trump is going to do it, but I can't see it's going to be a landslide. I should have listened to my husband, shouldn't I? So there we go. Mystic John, which is so funny, really, because John is the most grounded guy you will ever meet. And he wasn't saying it necessarily being a huge Trump fan either. It was just like, he's going to win in a landslide. So that seems to be what has happened. Right, let's go to yesterday's cards. Really quite interesting. I mean, those of you that have watched me a while know that I try to keep my violet pill hat on as much as I possibly can. It's hard. I'm a human being. I'm allowed to have my own emotions and feelings. But when I'm doing work, I try to stay as neutral as I can. But you will... so sometimes I don't always say what I know is going to maybe be contentious, particularly on a very sensitive day like yesterday, going to the polls. But I did show you this card, didn't I, which was the orange dragon. And I did say, note, it is orange. And, you know, that was a nod to Trump. It's the card of determination. And this dragon, as I said yesterday, was going to succeed against the stormy sky. Despite the storm around it, despite the storm in the world, this dragon was determined to succeed. So we had that. But the other card that was quite interesting from yesterday was this one, which was the Stranger of Gardens. Now, I pulled this one, if you remember, in relation to the energy of yesterday. And the card again talks about a character that basically has great determination. And this character, again, almost reminds me, I keep getting analogies of Terminator recently, but you know in Terminator where they try to put holes into him basically, but he's able to regenerate and he keeps coming back to life. And this is a good Terminator, it's not a bad Terminator. But this figure here, the Stranger of Gardens, it's like he almost looks like he shouldn't really still be standing. It's sort of like, well, where are his legs? Where are his arms? But yet he's got a wing there. He's got roots and flowers that are growing underneath him in terms of his foundation. It's almost like he shouldn't still be going, really. But he is. And it also talked about this head on this character being Leo-like. And of course, Trump is very Leo in nature. So I really felt that card was a link to Trump as well. So I feel as though the cards were seeing what was going to happen. We also had cards of stillness, didn't we? And I was talking about the need to be still and reflective. And I do think that's important today. I mentioned yesterday that it matters how we behave. And I'd like to add to that and say that today it matters how we behave, whether in victory or in defeat. Good sportsmanship is about being able to be civil and behave as you would wish others to behave to you in moments of the most heightened emotion. And that absolutely includes victory and defeat. I did watch Donald Trump's victory speech this morning. It was on quite early in the morning here, about 8 a.m. Just happened to catch the whole thing online. I actually caught it on YouTube. It was all on YouTube, and I'll say more about that in a moment because YouTube maybe has its faults, but equally it gives me a platform, so I'm grateful to that. But a lot of the times when I say I've watched something live and people say, where are you watching it? Is it on BBC, ITV or whatever your channels are in your countries? And it's like, no, it's on the internet, because the volcano that blew yesterday was very much also about the lid blowing off mainstream media. Some of the commentators here in the UK literally have stormed off stage. You know, it's quite hilarious, I think, really. Emily Matis in particular, I didn't see it, but I've heard she couldn't handle it. Tom Bradbury blowing his fuse. You know, that is not professional. Whatever you think, that is not a professional way to be. So we'll cover mainstream media in a moment, but I wanted to say something about Donald's speech. To me, watching it with a violet pill hat on, I thought it was a very conciliatory speech. I thought it was a measured speech. I felt as though he hit the right tone with it, to be perfectly honest. It wasn't overly gloating or... you know, things might change, of course. I'm only going on that one speech. It was late in the night, I guess, in America. The one thing I liked about it was that he brought lots of people onto the stage and thanked them, including putting people in the spotlight that clearly didn't really want to be in the spotlight because they were like the back room workers, maybe. And he was like, come on, you know, come and have a word with everybody here. And of course, everybody that was watching was the worldwide audience. So I would be the same. I'd be like a rabbit in the headlights. But in all seriousness, it was very much acknowledging it was a team effort. And he was mentioning, you know, all the players that had helped get him here, including RFK Jr., Elon Musk, JD Vance, of course, and others, you know, so I liked the tone of it. You know, if you can keep that going, it's a good start. I do think, and I would say this also if Kamala Harris had won instead of Trump today, and I said this when Keir Starmer won the election, and I wasn't particularly happy about that, we should always try to get the administration that is new off to a good start. And try to, and I know this is hard, let bygones be bygones, draw a line in the sand and just even if we're crossing everything, hope for the best. And that is particularly true of people that haven't voted for him, of course. Now, if in, 6 months into his presidency, it's all going terrible, or 3 months in, of course, we come back, we look at it, we call it out. That is the thing about being in flow and being like Willow. But, this moment of stillness and reflection, which we're asked to be in, is also requiring of us acceptance, non-judgment as much as we can, letting bygones be bygones, and drawing a line in the sand. Because if we don't, we stay in the quagmire of hate, division, and everything that's happened over the last 4 years. And maybe this is a moment to bring in the energy of forgiveness. Because remember, forgiveness isn't about the person that you feel needs forgiving. And I'm particularly talking to Democrats here, maybe, people who haven't voted for Trump. If you can get into the energy of forgiveness, it frees you. It frees you. It's got actually little to do with Donald or whoever any other person might be that you don't like, you don't want to be your leader, you don't agree with things he's said, things that he's done, things that he's been convicted for. We know this is a character who is very controversial and always probably will be. But certainly bringing in a big dollop of forgiveness would be helpful for everybody, but most importantly for you. So at that point, before we go any further, I'm going to bring in the energy of Archangel Zadkiel. So Zadkiel comes in on the purple ray. Purple is a colour linked into transmutation and forgiveness. So let's just spray Archangel Zadkiel. And I'm very much shown in my mind as I spray that, the energy of Jesus as well, and the energy of the sinner, okay? And that God loves everybody. He loves the sinners as much as anybody else. So if you think that Trump is a sinner, I'm not saying I do, but if you do, there's also the energy of Jesus here who's saying, what do you think I would do in this scenario? And what Jesus would do in this scenario would absolutely be to forgive, to welcome Donald with open arms into the fold. I'm not saying he's outside of the fold at the moment. I'm really talking to people that really don't like Trump at the moment in this video, this part of the video, yeah? So bring in forgiveness, okay? Because hate begets hate, and we need to get to a more balanced place if we can. That being said, of course, yes, USA is going through its Pluto return. It is going to be rocky. It is going to be challenging. Everything that I said yesterday before the results came in are still true. We are in a difficult period in our world, but there are reasons why so many people have voted for Trump. And if we remember the cards from yesterday, show me the energy of yesterday's election. We have the Tower and the volcano. To many people, not Trump supporters, of course, whether they're in America or anywhere else, but to many other people, it's a Tower moment. It's like, how on earth has this happened? How has he been re-elected? So it's blowing some people's minds, literally, okay? I mean, I shouldn't laugh, really, because, we need to be in an anchored place. My teachings are always about trying to keep us rooted, grounded, balanced, and able to flow and roll with the punches. How many times have you heard me say this? So we cannot be, because the times we're in demand, rocked by everything, whether it be big or small. And I said yesterday, do not invest all of your energy and all of your power. Don't give your power away to any of these people. So although I'm asking us to get behind Donald Trump, because if you don't do that, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because ideally you want the administration that's been voted in by the majority of your country, whether you like it or not, to succeed. So So I lost my train of thought there, but whatever I was going to say, I'm just going to park. It might come back. But being flexible is really important, yeah. What else do I want to say here? I've talked about how we behave in victory or defeat. Let me just come back to that a little bit. So what do I mean by that? So in victory, not to be gloating that your side won. You can be pleased that your side won. You can be ecstatic that your side won. You can be feeling a great sense of relief and lightness that your side won. Brilliant. That's great. But it's like when we're rubbing salt in a wound is where it's not good, because there are a large proportion of others who are not happy with this result. And so therefore the victor in any battle needs to be conciliatory and just tone it down a bit, you know, with regards to the what can be perceived as gloating, the sort of I'm right and you were wrong brigade. Equally, those who are defeated, those who are on the losing side, I think it is so important to try to remain dignified and respectful. And in a democracy, there's always going to be chapters, decades maybe, or years where you do not like the way that your country is being run, or the way it's going, or the person in charge. That is a democracy. So, but it is about respecting where the majority of people are, because if you don't, you're not respecting your fellow brother or sister. Now, I know this is going to be hard today to do if you're feeling sore and disappointed, but I'm just asking you to at least open to the possibility of getting there. But I do think, I'm just hearing over and over again from Spirit, it matters how you behave. So for the victor to not be gloating, for the loser to be dignified. One thing that I'm already starting to pick up energetically, but I've also seen it on social media, particularly on YouTube, is some of these big democratic channels, I just want to call them, you know, who've been reading on politics for the last 4 years and just saying that Trump was going to win and, you know, saying that Harris was going to win or Biden was going to win, and really quite a bandwagon of hate going on with regards to Donald Trump, for example, and his supporters. I've already started to see that they are now starting to use the rhetoric that they were objecting to 4 years ago, in terms of, oh, well, you know, this is obviously fake or fixed or Russian interference, you know, and it's this thing about just not being able to accept a result. So what you don't do is repeat what you haven't liked the other side doing 4 years previously. You go higher, basically. You don't go lower. Feel as though that's probably falling on deaf ears with many, but I do feel as though that's important to say as well. Where else do I want to go in this video? I'm going to pull some more cards in a moment. What else have I written down here? Yeah, let me just go back over some of my other older predictions, which I still feel have legs, actually. Over 4 years ago, this was at the last election, 2020, I said something along the lines of that I felt that Kamala would be a future president. Now, she's lost this election, but I'm just wondering, and it's not that I'm, you know, trying to get out of maybe being wrong about it, because my ego is not that big that, you know, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's not a big deal to me. But I am just wondering whether there is a possibility that she could still become president between now and January. And in particular, could this happen if something occurred with Biden, which meant that she had to step in and actually be inaugurated president before the next inauguration, which will be Trump Vance? I'm not saying that timeline is off the table. One thing that did strike me as odd is I felt that, I wanted to say the Bidens had gone a bit rogue over the last couple of weeks. Now, it can be excused in terms of, well, you know, maybe he's not as mentally sharp, or he's got issues and he didn't know what he was doing. But, you know, there was that incident where he put the MAGA hat on, didn't he? I know it was supposed to be a joke and, you know, who cares? Doesn't matter. It was just a silly moment. But there was that. But normally you wouldn't do something like that in an election campaign. Jill yesterday came out in a bright red suit. Now, I'm a colour therapist. I am wearing red today just to sort of say well done to Trump. But yesterday I deliberately chose to not wear red because I was reading the cards and it was election day and I wanted to be neutral. So I think I wore white, didn't I? But for her to come out in that red suit, and it was a really beautiful, striking red suit, I thought, you know about colour. These people know about things like that. They know about astrology. They just know. They're advised. That was deliberate. And there was also the very uncomfortable thing of the Halloween party at the White House. And I'm only going to be able to suggest a few things here because there's some portion of my audience that don't understand what I'm saying in this. And do you know what I feel? I feel a bit like a mum that doesn't want to break the bad news, really, to people. And I know you're all adults and most of you know what I'm going on about anyway. But there is just some stuff that it's like it's better that you find out yourself. I'm going to put some incense on here. You know, I don't know if I want to be the one to even break it. And even if I could, I don't know. Well, even if I could, I don't know if I would. And I can't here. What the hell are you going on about, Amanda? I'm going on about the fact that she came out in that panda costume. And the panda eyes. And then he takes a bite out of that child's leg, the baby's leg. All very joking, but the panda costume. RFK Jr.'s whatever she was called, Nicole Shannon, she said something about it. One of you asked me, where did I see what she'd said? I think it might have just been on Twitter. Very brave of her to come out and say, how could you wear that costume, knowing what the symbolism of that is, particularly on Halloween. That was creepy as hell. I don't know. Just wonder whether it feels almost like he's gone rogue. That's what I'm feeling. I'm just going to pull a card on Biden. Maybe I shouldn't have said that last bit about the panda, but anyway, some of you know what I'm going on about. Right, what was flipped out is the Four of Gardens and the King of Winds for Biden. I love this deck because it's just so self-explanatory, really. And I don't really need to even explain that, do I? It shows somebody who's a puppet on a string. But who's the master pulling the strings? We can speculate who that could be. And basically it's the King of Winds, the King of Swords. Probably Obama, to be honest. We've got the Hierophant on the bottom of the deck as well, which is who he is at the moment. He is the government. But anyhow, I don't know how I got into all that. But yeah, this thing about... Let me put it this way. I just want to say that I still think there's a timeline where potentially she could become president before January's inauguration. Doesn't have to happen, but it's not beyond the realms of possibility. I wouldn't rule anything out. The other timeline that unfortunately is still there, I really would like us to put golden protection around Donald Trump. And I would ask you to do that around anybody that I felt needed spiritual protection. He's had 2 threats on his life already, maybe 3. Powers that were will do anything to stop this guy being inaugurated. And if you've watched my JD Vance video, you will know that there was this weird moment where I just got Vance there and not Trump. Ideally, you know, the American public have voted and they would like both of them there. So just let us surround Donald Trump in golden light of protection. He's going to need it all the way through his presidency, to be honest, up to inauguration and through his presidency and probably for the rest of his life. He's got a target on his back and he knows that. Yes, so surround him in gold. Okay, I think that's what I wanted to say. I'm going to pull some cards now. Let's pull some fresh cards. Let's pull a card from Wisdom of the Oracle for Donald Trump. I also said I was going to pull a couple of cards for you Democrats that might be watching me as well, but let's just pull a couple of cards for Donald Trump this morning after winning. I saw on the news this morning that it was saying he'd done 900 rallies. I mean, that was the other thing about this card of endurance, the card of endurance and determination. I mean, blimey, I don't think I could have done 900 rallies. I don't know whether that was in this election and the last election. Maybe it was. But even so, impressive stuff. I think the night before the campaign ended, wasn't he still on stage at 2 a.m.? I like to be in bed by 10:30. It's just like, it's just impressive, especially at his age. It is impressive. Okay, so let's have a card for Donald. Now, I have shuffled the cards. I'm going to shuffle them again, but I keep seeing this on the bottom of the deck, which is focus. So Donald's guides will absolutely be telling him to focus. What's interesting is, can you see this card? There is a path, but the path doesn't look very long. This path goes into the forest, but then it becomes a very thick forest. So at the moment, there's a clearing, there's a space, there's a time for him to decompress a bit, spend a bit of time with his family, celebrate, enjoy his moment of success. He should be able to enjoy his moment of success. But it soon becomes a more difficult path, okay? And it's as though the forest, well, I assume there's a path there, but you can't see the path going forward. But it's a card of focus, so really needing to keep his focus. He is somebody who definitely has a wide attention span, I would say, in terms of, he can be speaking about one thing and then he's off on something else, but actually then he needs somebody to keep bringing him back and focus. But hopefully he's got the team around him that can do that, because I do think it's the team that won it. So with that, we would say, for example, RFK Jr. The team basically. I'm really pleased for RFK Jr, I have to say. I'll take my violet pill hat off at this point. Although, no, I'm going to put it back on, because to me, RFK Jr is about unity and violet. I just think I'm so happy for RFK, for Robert, and I'm so excited to see what he does for America, because I've only been to America a couple of times. I'm not well versed with all your food and stuff over there, but I do know that a lot of your food has got additives and things in it that are banned here in Europe, and I don't think people appreciate that. And to be perfectly honest, the whole world needs to clean up its diet, but if America can take the lead on that, that is going to be huge. And taking on the pharmaceutical companies, I mean, my God, that is huge as well. It is so brilliant. That aspect of it, I am unanimously waving my flag, with joy that we're going to throw a spotlight onto the pharmaceutical companies, vaccine safety, and also the food industry. It's brilliant. Right, let's just pull another couple of cards for Trump. And then I'm going to go back to you and guidance. Okay, so 2 more cards for Trump. So we've got focus. What else? We've got the spider, creative projects. Now, he has to build around him, and I think he's already got it, a very tight web. And this, the spider in the middle of the web knows instantly if something is on its web. It's able to feel the tension, the tautness, the change, smell, whatever. So he has to have a very tight web around him of trusted people. But equally, the spider is about creative projects here. Let's just read what it actually says, okay, because it seems to be quite an important card number 15. It says, the spider reminds you that you have within you the gift to create meaningful, purposeful work. The spider signals that it's time to be aware of your responsibility for the creations in your life. It's talking about being an artist, which isn't as appropriate here, but it's talking about if you're unhappy with anything, ask yourself, how can I create a better, more productive and loving experience for myself and others? Whether you see yourself as an artist or not, you're always co-creating with the divine. You are the architect of your own happiness and fulfillment. What life are you building? Don't just sit there. This is your time to create. Yeah, I think he brings business skills back, whether you like him or not. You know, he's got a long business career behind him. In terms of his alliances and partnerships with other countries, I mean, absolutely there's a nervousness there in many. I thought it was hilarious that Keir Starmer, I think, was pretty much the first Prime Minister to congratulate him. That came in very early this morning, and you could almost just see Keir like sweating buckets, you know, because members of our current government have been very vocal in terms of, you know, pretty much slagging Trump off in the past. It's going to be quite embarrassing for them to now sit with him. But hopefully we can bring in the energy of humility and humbleness and, again, forgiveness. And if we want to see our leaders personify these characteristics, where does it have to begin? It has to begin with us. We have to be able to show humbleness and modesty and forgiveness ourselves if we want to see it higher up the chain. But yeah, it's going to be quite awkward, I think, for UK-US relations, but we'll see how it goes. Interesting that both Boris Johnson, our ex-Prime Minister, and what's he called? Nigel Farage were in US, I believe, helping Trump. And, you know, whether you like Farage and Boris Johnson or not, I'm hoping that they are able to moderate maybe some of the tariffs in particular, talking as a businesswoman here, that Trump might put on our country. I don't really want to have to be paying more tax to get my products into your country if you're in USA. But, you know, as I'm teaching, just flow, be the willow. You know, if it happens, it happens, and I'll have to change business model or something. I don't know. I'm not going to fret about it. So anyhow, let's just pull a couple of cards now for people that might be feeling disappointed today. Okay. I'm just wondering whether to stay with this card or not. Yeah, let's stay with this deck. This is the Japanese Tarot. So people that are feeling disappointed today. I know some of you are feeling happy. I'll do that as well. But those that are feeling disappointed, 2 cards, please. We have the 2 of Fire. We have the Queen of Tides. That feels like it's Melania to me. We've also got the energy of love. 2 of Fire. Yeah, it's an interesting card. Would be the 2 of Wands. I'll show you the image again in a moment. Let me just go to the book a minute. Hold on. 2 of Fire. Because it's quite an unusual deck, this. Sometimes it's got different... Right, it says a solid foundation, a choice of or change in direction. A man pauses in his journey and stands contemplating a far-off town ablaze in flames. In his right hand he carries a lit lantern. It is unclear whether he is heading away from or towards the burning village. It's equally ambiguous if the fire he bears generated the distant conflagration or was instead ignited from it. Right, this is to do with don't add to the hate, don't add to the flames, don't get involved with any unrest, any uprising, any violence, any rioting, don't go there. If it happens, your job is to help diffuse it. But it's like I said yesterday, we have to understand, all of us have to understand, that when we see violence and disorder and war in our world and division and separation, it starts with us. So we have to be putting out our own fires. This guy with the lantern, if he went and threw that lantern into the fire, he's going to make it even worse. If he sits with his own rage or disappointment or whatever it is you're feeling and learns from it and transmutes it, that is the gift to the world. And that then, we have the energy of love, okay, love. So stay in love, stay in your heart. And we have the Queen of Tides. I feel as though Melania in a second term is going to, I think she's going to be very impressive, actually. So, she's learnt from having obviously been there for 4 years, having been out of power for 4 years. I don't know. I just feel she's a bit of a wild card energy. She's matured as a woman, as a mother, as a future spouse to whatever you call her. I don't know what she's called. Is it Flotus's wife or I'm not sure. Anyway, I see her there as somebody that people can get behind. If you can't get behind a husband, you might be able to get behind her. Okay, but also for you, that you might be feeling like the Queen of Tides, which is the Queen of Cups, very emotional, but just try to balance, stay in your heart, don't add to the flames. Right, let's pull 3 cards for the people that are happy with the result. Let's be fair. 3 cards to the people that are happy. I mean, what is there to say? You're happy, but let's just see. I don't know. Maybe it's a message that you can hear at the moment, whereas others might have more closed minds, maybe, I don't know, or closed ears. We've got the 5 of Gardens. Oh, okay, I know this is the way this is going. Really interesting. The King of Gardens. The 6 of Wands and the 9 of Tides. Ah, how interesting with the cards. So for people that were disappointed, it's about don't add to the flame, stay in your heart. For the people that have won, it's think of the people who now feel left out in the cold, who are disappointed that it hasn't gone the way that they wanted it to. 6 of Wands, 6 of Swords, moving away. Move away from the energy of the past division. Be there for your brothers and sisters that feel left out, discarded, unheard. To them, they might feel like it is the end of the world, that, they just can't understand the country, they can't understand their fellow brothers and sisters. So show them, 9 of Tides, wish upon a star. Show them that together you can manifest something really beautiful. Maybe show them that I don't mean this in an egotistical way, because it's not about proving that you're right and they're wrong, but it's something to do with, we could see something that maybe they couldn't, but in time they might be able to see that too. Because no one's saying that Trump isn't a flawed individual, because he is. A lot of people got really cross with me yesterday because I talked about scraps. I think a very good analogy, actually, from Archangel Metatron, fish and chips and scraps. And I said it was like we, as a world, when we look at our world, not just USA, and we look at the choice that we have at the ballot box, it feels a bit like the scraps. So it's not the fish, it's not the chips, it's the scraps. Scraps are little bits of batter that you get in a bag. Actually, one of you said, the scraps are the best bit, Amanda. Yeah, they are, actually. But the point was, a lot of people were like, he's not the scraps, she's not the scraps, RFK Jr is not the scraps. You failed to really understand what I was saying. What I was trying to say is that, put it this way, a leader that everybody can get behind, yeah? Like a Kennedy figure of the past, for example, or, I don't know, that type of figure, somebody that just everyone is like, oh, I just love them, We haven't really got that with Harris, and we haven't really got it with Trump either. There might be people within Trump's administration that more people can get behind. whether it's Melania, whether it's RFK Jr., yeah? But ultimately, a leader of New Earth going forward over the next couple of decades will be somebody that everybody agrees is the fish and chips. At this point, I know I've lost some of you that didn't watch my video yesterday, but hey, it's there if you want to watch it. It's all free. Right. Anything else to say? I think let's go to... let's just go... Oh, dragon. Let's pull another dragon card, actually. Because I did say the dragons were watching over yesterday, didn't I? And it did feel as though it was a more masculine energy. So, yeah, the dragons were watching over, keeping the day safe. Let's ask for the dragons to keep, you know, the new day safe as well. People waking up, being disappointed. We don't want violence or trouble. It's time for it to cease. So let's allow the dragon to come in and hopefully put out, where is it? Put out the flames from, where's that card gone? The dragon needs to be putting out these flames, yeah? Putting out the lantern, putting out the flames. Okay, let's have a couple of dragon cards for today, and then I will love and leave you. This is just for the people watching. Anything else to say with regards to message for USA this morning? Same card as yesterday. Flow. Flow with the changes. The next card that came out on top was peace. Flow into peace. Flow into peace. There was also another card from yesterday. I don't know if I've got it out on my... Oh, yeah, this one. Do you remember I showed you this one, Nine of Gardens? And I said, whatever the result, remember it's a beautiful world. Remember that you've got amazing things happening in your own life. Remember that it's about chop wood, carry water. Remember it's about seeing the beauty, smelling the roses, you know, going for a walk in the autumn, fall, etc. So here, these dragons are saying, flow into peace. I really implore people to get to a place of flow into peace. This is the Sapphire Peace Spray. It says peace and reconciliation. Reconciling with your neighbour who might have voted differently from you, and that works both ways. Sapphire Peace. Just asking for a beautiful blanket of peace to come into people's hearts in the United States, to come into the current administration under Biden and Harris, to come into the hearts of Donald Trump and his administration to come into the hearts of all elected members of Congress, House of Representatives, legal system, people on the street, families, schools, businesses, for peace to reign. And peace to reign no matter what is going on out there. Peace starts within. I do hope that today has helped. Thank you very much for your support of this channel and the people that get what I'm trying to do. Thank you. I'll be back very soon with some other videos on probably non-US affairs for a little while, but thank you. Bye-bye for now. Bye.